Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sporting 160EN. I am Sam Fonseca and today I'm taking you through a video which is the career retrospective of Bruno De Carvalho. So it actually marks 10 years ago to this day of recording, the 23rd of March, that he became Sporting president. So we're going to do a career retrospective, the highs and the lows as well as everything else in between. If you do enjoy this type of content, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into the video. And as always guys, make sure you subscribe to Sporting 160EN. We are still giving away a Sporting shirt from Loja Verde of your choice once we reach 1,000 subscribers. As mentioned, as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away a shirt. All you have to do is subscribe to Sporting 160EN and go to Twitter, which is linked in the description. All you have to do is take a screenshot as proof of you subscribing and reply to this and you could have a chance of winning a shirt. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Just a quick note as well, we also interviewed the former Sporting president and the interview can be found in the link in the description. The interview was taken in 2021, so it's quite a while back, but it's very interesting. So I've made sure you check out that before or after this video. So where to begin with Bruno De Carvalho? He's arguably the most polarising figure in Portuguese football history. Some fans love him for his no-nonsense attitude, as well as being one of the most charismatic leaders in football history, while some Sporting fans dislike the former president due to those same reasons and blame him for the downfall of the club. Even if you don't follow Portuguese football, you would have heard of Bruno De Carvalho in some capacity, whether it's due to the attacks on the academy during his time as president, or him calling the West Ham owners, David Sullivan and the late David Gold, the Dildo Brothers. Bruno had been compared to Donald Trump in 2017 by the independent newspaper writer Jack Pitt-Brooke, but in order to fully understand the whole situation of the man, the situation of the president, we'll have to go back to where it all began. Bruno De Carvalho was actually a member of the Sporting ultra group Juve Leo in his teenage years. This had a connection with some Sporting fans, as it made him sort of a man of the people and a man of the fans. But before even attempting to run for president, Bruno De Carvalho founded and presided the Fundação de Solidariedade Social Agaro Pinto. Excuse my awful Portuguese pronunciation there. But what that basically translates to is the Social Solidarity Foundation, which basically was a foundation dedicated to supporting the social integration of at-risk youth through sports. In the first year of activity, the foundation helped over 1,200 children. But before Bruno De Carvalho, there was Jose Eduardo Betancourt, who was the president of Sporting until 2011. He first took over in 2009, but after poor results, he resigned as Sporting president, which led an election between Luis Godinho Lopes and Bruno De Carvalho. Bruno actually lost his first run at the Sporting presidency. On 27th of March 2011, Carvalho was a candidate but eventually lost the elections to Godinho Lopes. During the election night, Bruno De Carvalho actually won the most popular vote with over 1,500 voters, but lost a mere 360 votes. Much like the presidency system in America, the most popular vote doesn't always win. The election results were heavily contested by Bruno De Carvalho, with allegations of irregularities as well as requests for a recount. However, both of these had been rejected by the General Assembly president at the time, Linda de Castro. After just 2 years in charge, Luis Godinho Lopes actually resigned as Sporting president due to poor results and poor financials on and off the fields. This led to another election, which Bruno De Carvalho beat Pedro Madeira Rodriguez to become the Sporting president in 2013. Bruno transformed the club almost instantly. He hired Leonardo Jardim from Olympiacos, and he was brought in and led Sporting to a second place finish in the Premier League of that season. And just after that season, due to his great performance, Monaco met his release clause. Monaco, who had just become mega rich over the summer, had managed to lure Leonardo Jardim away from Sporting, which also led Bruno De Carvalho to appoint another successful coach in Marco Silva. As well as great results on the pitch, he also changed football for the better off the pitch. Bruno De Carvalho was one of the first to call for the implementation of VAR, not just in Portugal, but in football in general. He also negotiated a substantial €515 million TV rights contract with NOS, giving Sporting that extra bit of financial capabilities. Also, he managed to get investors from countries like Angola to invest in Sporting, making them even richer. Bruno De Carvalho's specialty, you can argue, was his finances in terms of player sales and players bought in. He made Sporting a lot of money. On the pitch, the results were good, but off the pitch, they were even better. Financially, Bruno De Carvalho recovered the near bankruptcy club by negotiating a debt restructuring plan with the banks within his first month of presidency. In addition, he inaugurated Sporting TV, which was a Sporting TV channel, and he also created the Pavilhão João Rocha, which is where other sports like basketball and hockey take place inside the pavilion. In addition to this, he also had a new competitive with other sports as well, as mentioned before, basketball, hockey, and lots of other things, futsal namely as well. In addition, the number of sporting socios, which is paying members, doubled during his time as president, reaching up to 160,000, only behind Benfica and Bayern globally. In a huge coup for sporting, Bruno De Carvalho made one of the most controversial moves in Portuguese football history. He signed Benfica's longest-serving post-war coach, the man who just guided the Eagles to their first back-to-back championship triumph in 3 decades. Jorge Jesus left his club town rivals and joined Sporting. What's interesting about this is Jorge Jesus was actually a former Sporting player. However, Bruno De Carvalho managed to lure him to Sporting with an eye-watering salary of €6 million per season over 3 years. However, days before the move was announced, Marco Silva actually won his first trophy as a Sporting manager, winning the Taça de Portugal in the 2014-15 season. However, he was still sacked by Bruno De Carvalho as he wanted to bring in his star possession, Jorge Jesus, into the club, despite the rivals Benfica. 4 days after winning the Taça de Portugal, Sporting announced that Silva had been sacked, using the excuse of just cause, which they said he didn't wear the official suit in a cup match against Vizela. The dismissal was necessary for President Bruno De Carvalho to bring in Jorge Jesus from rivals Benfica, and included a clause requiring Silva to pay Sporting if he joined another Portuguese team. In Jorge Jesus' first season, Bruno De Carvalho nearly pulled off a masterstroke. They were so close to doing the impossible of winning the league. However, they lost the title by 2 points to arch rivals and Jesus' former club Benfica. Most people point to the moment of Brian Ruiz missing an open goal against Benfica to hand them the title. However, it's not as clear as that. If you look at the results, Benfica lost 4 games and drew once. Sporting only lost twice, one of them to results to Benfica, however drew 5 times. It wasn't Brian Ruiz to blame, but this was the closest that Sporting would ever come under Bruno De Carvalho to the championship. Bruno De Carvalho put in some serious work in the off-season, selling João Mario for €44 million and Islam Slimani for €31 million. This became a pattern of Bruno De Carvalho, selling Sporting's players for much higher fees than they would have got under any other president at that time. The next season, Bruno De Carvalho made some big moves, including signing Bas Dost for €11 million. Bas Dost signing was an absolute masterstroke, as in 127 games, he scored 93 goals. He was an absolute machine. Other signings that season included the following: Alan Ruiz for £4 million, Sebastian Coates, who ended up being a club legend, for €4.7 million, as well as other players that were brought in that didn't really amount to much, such as Joel Campbell and Lazar Markovic. However, this season was much worse than the last one. Sporting finished in 3rd place, 12 points behind eventual champions Benfica, and 6 points behind Porto. However, they did manage to qualify for the Champions League playoff round. The next set of transfers in the 17-18 season, in my opinion, was Bruno's best work as Sporting president. He brought in Bruno Fernandes for €9 million, Marcos Acuna for €9 million, Wendell for €7 million, Battaglia €4 million, and players like Piccini and Jeremy Mathieu, as well as Fabio Coentrao, coming in at relatively low fees or on free transfers/loans. Bruno also brought back fan favourite Fredy Montero, as well as having experience in players like Andre Pinto and Romian Salin. Despite a talented team, Sporting once again finished 3rd, this time 4 points behind Benfica and 10 behind eventual champions Porto. Sporting did manage to win a Taça da Liga, which is the Winter Cup for any of you Portuguese fans. But that was the only accolade they had that season. It was that season where Bruno De Carvalho's downfall started to happen. His outspoken nature proved to be the cause for his eventual ousting as president. After a 2-1 loss on aggregate to Atletico Madrid in the Europa League in the quarter-finals, Bruno De Carvalho went to Facebook and wrote a lengthy statement naming Jeremy Mathieu and Coates as scapegoats and accusing Fabio Coentrao and Bas Dost of not wanting to play. Then, 18 of the players turned to Instagram and Facebook, all sharing the same message, making their displeasure over Bruno De Carvalho's Facebook post publicly known. This included club captains such as Rui Patricio and William Carvalho. Sporting president Bruno De Carvalho answered the players with another Facebook post, lamenting his players as spoiled kids and suspending all of the 18 players that shared the critical post about him. At the time, the only players to have not shared their message was Salin, André Pinto, Jeremy Mathieu, Petrovic, Misic and Bas Dost. However, this wasn't because they were afraid to speak out against Bruno De Carvalho. This was simply because they didn't have social media, but they said they were in complete solidarity with the rest of the squad. George Jesus at the time was also backing his players and said if this wasn't resolved soon, they'd consider going to the board and asking to be released instantly. Later that week, a very tense meeting took place between Bruno De Carvalho and the Sporting players. There was no apology issued by either side, and Bruno once again returned to Facebook, confirming that disciplinary proceedings against his players for, quote, tarnishing the good name of the president and the club, end quote, will be maintained, but suspending them wasn't a suitable punishment. Before the next game, the players were applauded and George Jesus cried, and Bruno De Carvalho was whistled and verbally abused. After the 2-0 win against Pacos de Ferreira, the players and JJ were once again applauded by the fans. Bruno De Carvalho was struggling to get off his bench where he used to sit during games due to a back injury. Whether that was legit or not, no one ever found out, but there were pictures of him being operated and having a massage at the time. Bruno De Carvalho did not take kindly to being whistled and verbally abused. He said, "The abuse is unacceptable, but people are free to express themselves however they want. They can be ungrateful. Ingratitude and foolishness is like music to me. I will not resign as Sporting president." End quote. The president of Sporting's General Assembly at the time, Jaime Marta Suarez, said he'll summon an extraordinary meeting if Bruno De Carvalho didn't resign. Holdimo, who was also Sporting's biggest shareholder at the time, also wanted to dismiss Bruno De Carvalho as president for the club. However, the worst was yet to come. Just a few days after Sporting missed out on next season's Champions League, losing to Maritimo, and 5 days before the Portuguese Cup final, 60 so-called fans invaded the training complex and physically assaulted and attacked the players and technical staff. George Jesus was the first to be attacked, while Bas Dost was left with the most visible wounds to his head and foot. We will cover this in an eventual video, so I'm not going to speak too much about the Alcochete attacks, so I'll move on to the bit where necessary. Sporting president was then asked about his players and how they were attacked. He responded, "It's annoying, but tomorrow is a new day. We have to realise that crime is a part of everyday life and has the right to be punished in the right place." After more calls to resign, Bruno De Carvalho went on a 1.5-hour long rant during a press conference. Some of the quotes were, "The press tried and achieved to manipulate what I said, dishonouring an honoured man. The club is being bullied and terrorised by press, politicians and Sporting members." Here is a small transcript of the rant. You can pause it and see how much was said. So to clarify, all in a week, Sporting lost to Maritimo, meaning they'd lose out on next season's Champions League. Tuesday, they were attacked by 50 masked fans at their own training. Wednesday, Bruno De Carvalho went on a 1.5-hour long rant. And Sunday, they lost the Portuguese Cup final to Minos Aves. Due to the attacks, Sporting announced that they'd cut benefits given to ultra group Juveleo, which if you notice, Bruno De Carvalho was a part of when he was a teenager. However, when he became president, he distanced himself a lot from Juveleo. Just over a week later, 7 Sporting players terminated their own contracts in response to an attack by the fans. Rui Patricio, William Carvalho, who were the club's captains, Gelson Martins, Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Ribeiro, Bas Dost and Daniel Podence left, citing just cause. With these 7 players leaving, Sporting and Bruno De Carvalho lost over €70 million, and that's according to transfer market values in players walking for free. Rui Patricio only left Sporting after they rejected an offer from Wolves, as did Gelson Martins after Sporting rejected a €30 million move from Arsenal, and that's from source Abola in Portugal. Bruno De Carvalho confirmed that he was taking legal action against the Sporting players who terminated their contracts, but in some resignation letters, including Bruno Fernandes, he had some choice words for the president. Quote, "On the eve of the cup final, instead of trying to cheer us up, he decided to talk about himself, painting himself like he was the victim and blaming the players for what happened at the training complex." On the 23rd of June 2018, Bruno De Carvalho was dismissed as Sporting president after 71% of club members voted him out in a general election. He was also removed as a socio a year later. Less than 6 months later, Bruno De Carvalho was detained at home for suspicion of giving permission to the violent attack by Sporting supporters. On the 15th of November, they tried to charge Bruno De Carvalho with terrorism and 98 other crimes. However, it should be noted, on March 11th, 2020, the state prosecutor in Bruno De Carvalho's trial recognised there was little to no evidence corroborating the accusation, and he was given the verdict of innocent by the judge. And in January 2021, Bruno De Carvalho sued Cofina Media for alleged defamatory publications related to the attack at the Sporting Training Academy, as well as some other corruption cases such as cashball and just Bruno De Carvalho in general. As of now, Bruno De Carvalho is now a DJ in Portugal, having left the life of football behind him, and honestly, I'm glad for him. He went through a lot, he was accused, and while he definitely has some wrong in the situation, he definitely shouldn't have been accused of all the crimes that he was, especially with little to no evidence. As I said, he is a DJ, and he also celebrated a marriage to Liliana de Almeida. So that brings us to the end of the career retrospective of Bruno De Carvalho. 10 years ago as well it all started, and what do you think? What do you think of Bruno De Carvalho? Do you like him? Do you not? Are you in the middle? Just let us know. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you want to try and win a jersey. Again, go to our pinned tweet and reply with a screenshot of trying to win. Also, don't forget to like this video and share it if you enjoyed, and leave some feedback for me in the comments if you want to see more videos like this. I've been Sam Fonseca. Thank you for listening and watching, and peace.